The dates for all the major examinations have now been announced, and I am very hopeful that SEBI Grade A dates will also be announced very soon. So I have been covering these current affairs, the SEBI current affairs, for 9 months now, and this is going to be the last current affairs video on SEBI Grade A, and I'll be explaining why this is in the end of this video. So let's begin with one last time SEBI current affairs for the month of September 2020. Hi, there's Shupriyo. Today we are going to cover the SEBI current affairs for the month of September 2020. So let's begin with number 1. SEBI permits mutual funds to side pocket all restructured debt till December 31st. So now what can they do? They can actually go ahead and side pocket any kind of exposure which is pertaining to restructured debt. Now earlier you have to remember what the rules were. So the rule said that below investment grade, if you had some type of debt, if the rating was below BBB minus or it was some defaulted debt, then we were allowed to side pocket it. So mutual funds could only side pocket that kind of a debt. But now if the borrowers have approached the asset management company for debt restructuring, then they get an option to side pocket the debt. So this gives the mutual funds much more option. Now also just understand what side pocketing is actually. I think I have already discussed it in a previous video, but still, so a side pocketing, this type of bad asset segregation allows easy exit and price discovery. Now why should that actually happen? Because in a side pocketing, what you are doing, you are actually separating the good assets from the bad assets. So the bad assets that you have, you just put them into a separate basket and you are listing them into the stock market. So these units, they must be listed within 10 days of side pocketing. Within 10 days you are listing it. So if any investor wants to exit, they can exit. Any new investor can come in and you can easily understand what the price is of that kind of a bad debt. Now let's move to number 2. SEBI fixes 31st March 2021 as cutoff date for relodgement of share transfer request. Now what is this? This basically pertains to April 1, 2019 circular, where SEBI had said that share transfers, inheritances or sales must be done only in the demat form. So all these kinds of activities, the transfer of the shares, the selling of the shares, you can only do in dematerialized form. You cannot have that physical copy of the share certificate in your hand, and you cannot do it like that. So physical copies you could just only hold, but you could not transact. So because of this, since many people had these physical copies, SEBI had allowed them to have some share transfer requests by which they could actually convert their shares into just virtual shares. So they could do that, and till the month of April 2019 they had allowed it. But then what happened, that transfer deeds which were lodged before that date but returned due to the deficiency in the documents had to be relodged. Now this relodgement time, it has been given till 31st March 2021. So till that time you can again relodge your requests and you can get your virtual shares. And just note that you may still hold shares in physical form, but they are now allowed to be issued or transferred only in the demat form. So even if you are a issuer of the share, you have to issue it in the demat form, and of course the transfers have to be done in demat form. Okay, let's move to number 3. MCA or Ministry of Corporate Affairs to announce legal changes that will allow Indian companies to list abroad. Now we have already discussed this kind of a news in our previous videos, but just note some other important things which came in the news. So Indian companies, they will be able to list their shares in the overseas markets without listing in India first. So this is the clause actually. But now what has happened, there have been some news reports that state that the Indian government wants some kind of a dual listing. So you will be able to list abroad, but also in India you have to have a corresponding listing. Now this thing is quite in the news because Reliance Jio's shares will be listed, and that's why there has been a lot of talk about this kind of a thing and whether Jio will only go ahead and list in foreign markets. So a lot in the news at this point of time. Now just note that the Foreign Exchange Management Act, the Income Tax Act and the Companies Act, these 3 acts will be amended to include permissible investors from select jurisdictions. So only the investors that are allowed to invest, they will be categorized and you can just get the money from them to list your shares abroad. And the companies must also follow rules of the jurisdiction in which they list. So if you are having a listing in America, say, then the American rules you will have to follow. So that is also something that these things will be adding, and there has been actually an issue here. So one of the issues, this is just one example. Actually what happens, many Indian companies are choosing not to incorporate in India because of this kind of a problem, because right now the rules say that if you are an Indian company, you have to list in India first and only then you can have a foreign listing. So this was why Make My Trip had listed in the Nasdaq using the Mauritius route to avoid loss. So what is the Mauritius route? Basically they are incorporating their company in Mauritius and not in India. So it is a Mauritius company, then they can go ahead and list in Nasdaq. So Nasdaq, what is the full form of Nasdaq? It is the National Association of Security Dealers Automated Quotation. So they just went ahead and listed in Nasdaq by incorporating in Mauritius. Indian government doesn't want these kinds of problems to happen further, and that's why they are just making the changes to these laws. Let's hope that it will fix it. Let's move to the next one. SEBI bars Global Securities and 12 others for 1 year from accessing capital markets. Now what happened? The income tax department had uncovered 84 companies where share prices were rigged by operators or their affiliates for providing long-term capital gains tax (LTCG) short-term capital loss advantages to clients of the operators, violating PFUTP norms or the provision of fraudulent or unfair trade practices norms. So we have already talked about these things. So because they wanted to have these kinds of manipulations, so they had actually been doing all of these things, and now they have been caught. And GSL had organized a preferential allotment which was fraudulently subscribed by group companies. So their own companies had actually subscribed to it. So it was a very high amount of fraud, and that is why SEBI has barred these entities for 1 year from accessing the capital markets. Let's move to the next one. SEBI revamps portfolio structure for multi-cap funds. Now this is very interesting. Multi-cap funds must now invest at least 25% of portfolios in large, mid and small caps each. So you need to invest 25% in large cap, 25% in mid cap and 25% in small cap. Now I have already discussed a long time back what these different categorizations are, the large cap, mid cap, small cap, etc. So go check it out. And now they cannot go ahead and just allocate whatever they want. They have to have 25% in each of these things, and this has actually caused a lot of issues because many people, many experts are feeling that this will actually destroy all the flexibility they have, and they are actually asking SEBI right now to have a different categorization of flexi caps. So they want SEBI to come up with a different kind of a categorization, but SEBI is saying that we want these things to be true to label. They want that whatever the name is, multi-cap means that you are investing in different caps of shares. So existing schemes, they must comply with this mandate within 1 month of AMFI, or the Association of Mutual Funds in India, publishing the new list of large, mid and small cap stocks in January 2021. So by that time they have to go ahead and do it, and currently SEBI does not have any such percentage allocation norms for multi-caps. So that is why there have been so many problems and what we just discussed right now. Let's move to number 6. SEBI invites applications to track investor complaint status online. So the agency that SEBI is going to appoint, they need to receive grievances from investors through physical or electronic mode and categorize them. And this agency must also track complaint status online and conduct follow-ups, besides preparing ATRs or action taken reports and updating the status of grievances on SEBI's CORS platform, the SEBI complaint redress system, what we already discussed in many videos. The work will also involve proper storage of past complaints and liaison with the intermediaries and the investors. So all these things the new agency has to do, and for that SEBI wants to appoint some agency. So that's all. Number 7, SEBI issues new norms for NAV issuance to mutual fund investors. Now NAV is the net asset value, and this is for the mutual funds, what we already discussed. And basically from January 1, 2021, an investor will get NAV of a particular day only if the money reaches the fund house on that day. So this changes older provisions where purchases for the schemes lesser than 2 lakh, other than the liquid and the overnight funds, used to go through even if the money did not reach the AMC on the same day. Now there are various rules for this, so you can go and Google it and you can just read it if you want. It's not very necessary for your examinations. So if you are buying within 1 p.m, within 12:30 p.m, there are different kinds of such slabs by which you can get the NAV of the same day or the NAV of the next day. So these kinds of things were earlier there, and right now the SEBI has said that if the money reaches the fund house for any kind of purchase, only then that day's NAV, that person is going to get. So this is a great change for the mutual funds, but some investors might not be happy with that. Anyhow, there are no changes to the cutoff timings for the applications. So as I told, the details of that are not that much important. Let's move to number 8. SEBI makes new changes to manage risk of asset classes during steep price falls. So why this was actually done? This is due to the settlement fiasco of the crude oil contracts at the multi-commodity exchange while they were in the negative territory. Now we have talked about this in our previous current affairs videos about the negative oil prices. I have also made a video on the negative oil prices, the oil futures, why this had happened, and it's a full explainer video on the derivatives, so you can go check it out if you want. And so now what SEBI has done, they have prescribed alternate risk management framework or ARMF for near zero and negative prices for any underlying commodities or futures. So they will be moved to the ARMF if there is a fall in the commodity prices by more than 50% within 20 trading days. Now if this kind of eventuality happens, then under this ARMF they will be managed separately, and these kinds of problems will not be happening in the future any longer. Okay, so let's move to item number 9. SEBI phasing out COVID relaxations. Now with lesser restriction in the unlock 4 phase, SEBI will phase out the measures adopted to ease compliance and curb volatility laid down over 40 circulars during the lockdown, and it will be done in a phased manner. So SEBI had actually just announced 40 circulars over this time, but now they are just doing away with all those relaxations. We are going back to life as normal. So as you know that from today all the cinema halls are scheduled to actually open as well. So a lot of changes are happening, and we are trying to just live with this pandemic, and life is returning to normal as much as possible. And just let's hope that the exam date also comes so that we can have some kind of relief. So SEBI declined not to extend deadline of the new margin norms where client needs to pledge securities after authorization with the broker to be considered as margin. So that deadline SEBI had actually extended 2 times, but now they said that we are not going to extend anymore. You have to go ahead and comply with our margin norms, and these margin norms we have discussed in our previous videos, so you can just go and check it out if you want to have a revision. Number 10, SEBI's audit of CG Power points to collusion between lenders and promoters. So SEBI conducted forensic audit of CG Power and Industrial Solutions, and it was found that in the bulk of the problematic transactions, lenders to CG Power were aware of the lapses. Now this has actually caused a lot of issues to this company, and SEBI is penalizing them. So the company has now initiated recovery from former directors and KMPs or the key management personnel to the tune of 3,200 crore rupees after fund diversion was confirmed by the SFIO, the SEBI and the Enforcement Directorate. Now what is the SFIO if they ask? Now this is very important. SFIO is the Serious Fraud Investigation Office, and SFIO is actually a statutory body as per section 211 of the Companies Act. So remember that, very very important. And so this is the entire news about the CG Power, and they have basically been caught by SEBI doing all these unfair activities. Number 11, SEBI bars DHFL promoters from accessing capital markets. A very important news. So 12 promoters of the Dewan Housing Finance Corporation Limited were indefinitely banned from securities market. Now indefinite ban, see this, there are mostly the bans are done for 1 year, 2 year, 5 year, but these people, they have been banned indefinitely, very important, for indulging in fraudulent transactions and misleading investors by releasing false financial statements for over a decade. Now this fraud that is actually done, it was about 14,000 crore. So even more than that, actually the primary thing was 14,000 crore, and this was actually caused because of the failure of the ILFS as well. So ILFS failed, and after that DHFL also failed, and if you remember, we have discussed all of these things. Now these people, they cannot associate with any listed public company and any public firm as directors or promoters which intends to raise money from the public. So they have totally been just banned from the securities market, and just remember all of these people. So let us move to the next item. SEBI enhances penalty on the ICRA, CARE, INDRA over lapses in rating ILNFS. So the penalty on these rating agencies has now been enhanced to 1 crore rupees each. Now if you will remember, the adjudicating officer had imposed penalty of 25 lakh only. Now we had discussed this in a very earlier current affairs, and so SEBI had invoked section 15I of the SEBI Act and found the rating agencies guilty of excessively relying on assertions of the ILFS management and not applying independent professional internal assessment to verify the ILFS disclosures. So people had been shocked that such a low amount of fine had been just imposed on them. So SEBI has now said that 1 crore is the fine, and they have to shell it out. So that's all about this news. Number 13, SEBI penalizes Rana Kapoor and Enforcement Directorate attaches his London property. So Rana Kapoor has been in the news for a long time. We have talked about what he had done and his problems. So Rana Kapoor, he is the former MD and CEO of Yes Bank Limited, and he was penalized by SEBI with 1 crore penalty for not disclosing encumbrances on his Yes Bank shares. He had violated listing obligation and disclosure requirements or the LODR regulations. It's very important. Note this kind of a regulation. Now, what is this encumbrance? This means that his shares were actually pledged to somebody else, or they were pledged in some kind of a deal, and it was not notified to the Yes Bank board. So what had happened was the NCDs, or the non-convertible debentures, which were issued by Morgan Credits. Now this is a company that is owned by Rana Kapoor, and they were backed by his personal guarantee with a clause of using Yes shares for outstanding dues. Now this was a problem because after his personal guarantee, he had guaranteed with the Yes Bank shares as well, but this was not known to the Yes Bank board. Now Enforcement Directorate also attached his 127 crore London flat, and this is the entire thing. So basically London has become a safe haven for many of the people in India who are doing frauds, and these people, we are actually categorizing them under the Fugitive Economic Offenders Act. So FEO, these people are called. So it has to be a kind of offense above 100 crore for this kind of an act to actually be applicable, but most of them have not been extradited. Rana Kapoor's case was actually very funny, and he had been lured back into India, and now he is behind bars. Number 14, so SEBI board to finalize the MPS, or minimum public shareholding norms for firms after the IBC process. So after the companies emerge out of the IBC, or the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code, they see their public holdings fall below 25% because of fresh fund infusion. Because in this kind of an IBC process, companies are being bought, they are being sold, assets are actually being auctioned off, so many kinds of things are happening, and because of that they are getting a lot of funds. So the public shareholding, it falls below 25%, but SEBI has mandated that minimum public shareholding has to be 25%. So what can they do to actually fix this? As soon as these companies relist on the exchanges, they need to have a public float of at least 5%. So as soon as they relist, they need to have 5% of public coming in to subscribe to the shares, and in the next 12 months companies can raise the public shareholding to 10%. The remaining 10% can be increased in the coming 24 months. So this is how you are going to bring up the minimum public shareholding to back to 25% over this course of time. So this ends our SEBI current affairs for the month of September 2020. I hope that you enjoyed watching this series as much as I enjoyed making it. Finance and the capital markets are something that I enjoy, and I will definitely make more videos on this kind of subjects later on, but this is the end of the SEBI current affairs series. The reason for this is that I want to move to other kinds of videos, interesting ones, and I have so many other projects lined up even in the real world, because YouTube is only a part of what I do. There are other things going on in the real world, so I am quite busy with that thing as well. Now you can go ahead and check out the banking awareness videos, the series that I am doing. That is a long running series, and that series also I will be wrapping up very soon, but you can bet that I will be bringing more and more interesting kind of videos that will help you learn a lot of things. And also remember that for SEBI, I am hopeful that by November, December they are going to announce the date of the examination, and just ensure that the GS section, the general awareness section, so what I cover, it is only the SEBI current affairs, right? But there is also the general awareness, so lot of other kinds of things. Ensure that you have covered them very well. I hope that the past videos, the old videos of this series are also going to be very helpful. I have explained a ton of stuff about the capital markets in my lot of videos. We have been doing this for 9 months now. If you have been here from the first video, thank you so much. This ends our series, but it does not end our commitment to learning and bettering ourselves each and every day, and that's what I want you to keep doing. So good luck for your exams. I hope that you learned something from this video and that it was beneficial to you. If you enjoyed this, please click on the subscribe button and do not forget to click the bell icon so that you, my friend, do not not miss any future updates. I'll see you in more interesting videos coming up very, very soon. Bye bye.